Hey everybody, my name is Bryan Goode, and I'm here today with Andrew Gaskins from Lumen Technology. Andrew, it's great to have you here. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Tell us just a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your background.
I'm Andrew Gaskins. I'm Principal Solution Architect at Lumen Technologies. Been working the Power Platform for a number of years, which kind of led the way to Copilot Studio and the agent implementation. So I've been about 8 years in that, coming from a SharePoint background before that.
That's wonderful. And I know Lumen, but maybe tell us just a little bit. What should we all know about Lumen Technologies?
Right. So Lumen Technologies is bringing the backbone for the AI economy. So with what we're doing with our fiber and connecting all of the sources.
Wonderful. Now, I know that you've been involved with agents at Lumen, and I'd love to hear just a little bit about that journey. Tell us how it started and how it's gone since then.
Absolutely. So, we're a frontier firm, and a lot of that is because of our CEO's engagement with this and our executive level of let's move forward with this right from the beginning. So starting with M365 Copilot, moving through there, working with declarative agents, working with all of you, back and forth private previews, moving into Copilot Studio, and now bringing that to just a full enablement.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, you talked about sort of the executive sponsorship, kind of this tops-down support that you have inside the company. One of the things I found is that that's often helpful when paired with bottoms-up kind of building and engagement. Is that a pattern that you've employed at Lumen?
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that, because we came from this Power Platform approach, and again, speaking about like Copilot Studio side and the M365 agents, we have this incredible community of makers. So we've had, up to about 5,000 makers through the years. Right now, about 3,000 continues to grow. So we have this kind of like baked in ability to use low code, as well as now the executive support of saying, let's go forward and let's do this, use these tools. This is kind of our mandate, and this is how we do it now.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, I know you've built a lot of agents, but I think there's one in particular that sounded especially interesting, and I'd love to hear more about it.
Yeah, so we kind of had the CEO briefing agent and started that out as a declarative agent, building that and kind of looking at how we could continue to extend that, waiting for the kind of models and kind of parity between declarative agents, Copilot Studio. So we took that, and that was one of those that kind of took the multi-day review process to get together down to, a matter of minutes to be able to hand that over. And then now starting to grow that into a multi-agent in Copilot Studio with the chief of staff's help.
Impressive. And so it basically will create a briefing for your CEO for meetings and customer engagements that she has. Is that right?
Yep, exactly.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Tell us just a little bit about, maybe the journey to deliver that agent. So as you've probably had to engage with the IT team, the operations team, in that case, probably the CEO herself. Tell us how did that engagement happen?
Like you said, it was a lot of kind of moving parts and bringing people together. So thinking about access to certain data that only the CEO should have access to working with like the chief of staff to say, what is it that you normally bring together? Looking at other people who would bring portions of that brief together, that, they would have to go off and, work with different systems that we were then able to say, let's just bring those in as knowledge, and let's figure out how we do this so that, through the right instructions and guidance that we're able to build that, and then making that an iterative process, thinking about even the short time since when we built it and where we are now, how much things have changed.
Wow.
That's
a fascinating journey. Now, we have talked about something we call Work IQ at Microsoft. And Work IQ, you can think of as this intelligence layer that sits on top of your productivity and your line of business data. And it's going to, power Copilot, but also the agents that you build. I'm curious, as you think about that, have you already started to experiment with what Work IQ can do inside Lumen, or is that something that you're looking for in the future?
We're starting to learn about Work IQ now. So, and with the Connected Agents Summit, we've learned so much. So really excited to kind of take that back now and look at like, where does that fit within that stack? And then how could everybody use it?
Great. So Andrew, one of the topics that I hear about from customers quite a bit is the idea of agent governance. How do you approach that within Lumen?
So from our side, as the low code side, we've built on the Power Platform basis that we had, which is all the governance, all the security there, which helped us to set those guardrails. And then we work closely with our enterprise AI governance. And so they're looking at all the other pro code tools and all the rest of the tooling. So with what we do, they have a sense of comfort because of our history with what we've done with the Power Platform. So that's how we kind of done that. We were originally looking at, an intake process where we were looking at every single one.
Yeah.
And now, based on working with those business units like we were talking about, we're able to kind of give them their guardrails.
Yeah.
And then we say, you can go forward and do these things without having to come back. When you come back to us and you say, we want to extend this, we want to hit a new data source or things that might be a little more critical, then we actually can pause and we can take that to our governance group, who then can bless it, and we can bring it back and we can extend what we're doing.
Got it. So you've got a really rich governance process already internally, in part because of the work you did with Power Platform.
Exactly. Yeah.
Super.
And it was the only way we could move forward at the speed we're doing.
Wonderful. Yeah. One of the things we sometimes talk about is the importance of going function by function or department by department, picking a process and going after it that way. And it sounds like that's exactly the approach that you're taking in Lumen.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get them in, get them to ideate. They all work together. They approve. They pick their kind of big rocks. And then from there, then they have all the other ones that they can kind of pick off, which are more of the day-to-day agents and things to help you.
That's super. Next, I'd like to ask about an AI magic moment. So each of us have probably had these moments with AI where it did something maybe magical and unexpected.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what was a recent AI magic moment for you?
Probably the magic moment for me was most recently leading a build-a-thon with the legal group and showing them how they could take a claim. And the legal has to do this often, and we could evaluate it, against a Dataverse table, and they could actually come back and say, these are approved. Yeah. These are things that are not approved. Yeah. And from my side, it was not difficult. It's pretty simple. Yeah. But the lights going off at the table, and you see them say, this is the area where we spend so much time that takes away from our knowledge work. Yeah. And these are the things that can help us get away from that. Yeah. And just to see the excitement of others in that, those are the moments for me.
I love it. I mean, that's the reason I got into this business was applying technology to the business and seeing how it could unlock business results for folks. Right. And it's awesome to see that happening for you at Lumen. As you go forward in 2026, it sounded like you already have some things planned for agents, and curious where this all goes for you inside Lumen.
So we're starting to work on it like a business unit by business unit. So we need a lot of interest from legal, which is, interesting that legal would be the most interested to starting out on this. And so, with legal and finance and HR, and what we're doing now is because we're a small group and we're trying to reduce friction. So we're trying to help them to get all of their agentic solutions out as quickly as they can. Yeah. So we're looking at new processes as we go through each one of these kind of hackathons and build-a-thons with the groups. We take learning that we've gotten from you, from the PowerCat team, and now the CAPE team. They've been a huge impact on how we could do this. So to pull in that kind of list of here are the agents that each group wants to do, then how do we support them? How do we put everything in place with the controls so that then they can move quickly without every single one having to be stopped.
So Andrew, I really want to thank you for being here today. I've enjoyed it. We enjoy the partnership, and we appreciate everything that you and Lumen are doing with these capabilities. And thanks again. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thanks.